Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Ghosts, issue 73. This from the 1971 series from DC Comics. This issue came out right around February of 1979, and it features a really cool cover by Dominguez. The covers on these were always awesome. Very good selling points. Now the first story is actually a one-page thing called Ghosts in the Supernatural, where they give you like weird deaths and stuff like that. It's written by Boltinoff and drawn by Cruz. Pretty fun. The art's really good. Then we get into Phantom of the Catacombs, which unfortunately the author is not attributed, but the art is by Ernie Guanlao and colors by Adrian Roy. This one is about a failed assassin who ends up seeing the ghost of a person he thought he killed, but there is of course a twist. There's a short story called Specter from the Sea. It's a one-page story by Boltinoff, and I don't really care. I'm not buying a comic book to read the short stories. Then there is a story called Who Guards the Grave, about a grave robber who meets a very unfortunate end when he tries to rob the wrong grave. And there's a big shocking twist about whose grave it is. This story was drawn by Calnan. Again, the writer is not attributed, but the colors were by Adrian Roy. Then we get into the cover story, which is the Specter of the Haunted Highway, told by Wessler, art by Tenny, Henson, lettered by Abel, colors by Adrian Roy. This guy does a hit and run and takes off and is haunted by the ghost of the motorcyclist that he struck, who may not have been dead when he took off. And this is one of the kind of stock standard morality tales for the comics of the time with these ghost stories. None of these stories are particularly frightening. They're just sort of morality plays. Then there's Ghost's Last Ride. This one is drawn by Landgraf and Abel, lettering by Gaspar, colors by Adrian Roy. And this is about a failed speedway driver who needs to get a new car, so he joins in on a bank robbery but is quickly double-crossed, and his ghost is out for revenge. All of these stories probably could have been their own issue and would have been a lot better. Unfortunately, because this is more of an anthology book, the stories tend to be very short, and it really doesn't do the stories justice. They need more room to really get the point across. The exception, I would say, was probably the cover story with the guy that hit the motorcyclist. That's the most concise one in here, but they all have pretty solid art. The one with the motorcyclist was probably the one with the weakest art, and that's just because this main person that hit the kid is a little weirdly shaped at times, but the art is pretty solid throughout. Good standard 70s and 80s art. I didn't have a problem with that at all. Like I said, the stories aren't particularly scary. They're just more morality plays. Was it worth picking up? I got a really beat up copy out of a dollar bin. I don't feel cheated for my money. This is how comics used to be written, and I don't have a problem with any of the stories. They were just too short. I think they all could have been good one-shots with maybe a backup story. Like I said, the story about the guy that hit the motorcyclist that's on the cover, pretty succinct and to the point, really didn't need to be elaborated on. The others probably could have been elaborated on to make them better stories, but they were okay the way they were. They just could have been longer. So all around good storytelling, not the greatest because they are too short, but entertaining nonetheless. So I don't feel cheated for my dollar, and I know most of these books from this era are not super popular right now, but they do tend to go for less than $10, and you can often find them for the price of a new issue on the stand. So if you're looking for something to read with a slightly supernatural twist that's not that frightening or horrifying, then this might be for you. The covers tend to be a little bit more scary than the actual story. So if you've got nostalgia for this era, you're probably gonna like this. Otherwise, the art is really good in most of the stories. It's always at least passable. So I didn't have a problem with that. So I will recommend it if you could find it at a reasonable price. Like I said, these usually don't go for a whole lot of money. Generally less than $10 in fine condition or better if it's something you're interested in. And again, this is better than anything DC's putting out now, so it might be worth tracking down if you're looking for something with a slightly more supernatural bent. Some of the dialogue is a bit dated, but I didn't have a problem with it. And like I said, it's not really scary. It's just sort of meant to be a little bit thrilling. So like I said, this was a decent read. I thought it was fun. I didn't feel cheated for the dollar I paid for my really beat up copy, and I'll probably check out some future issues somewhere down the line. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.